Immigration remains front and center for voters across the country. Exit polls from last night's primary in battleground Ohio reflecting recent national polls showing 45% of Republican primary voters citing immigration as their most important issue. Joining me now, Brendan Buck, former communications advisor to House Speakers Boehner and Ryan, and Jim Messina, former campaign manager for President Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. So, Brendan, NBC News exit polls show 73% of the Ohio GOP primary voters say that undocumented immigrants should be deported to the countries they came from. How is Donald Trump's rhetoric driving Republican voter opinion?
Yeah, of course, at this point, Donald Trump has sort of remade the Republican Party, and a lot of that is around immigration, nationalism, and being very anti-immigrant. I think we know that. But perhaps I think maybe the bigger picture here is this is not just a Republican issue at this point. Just last month, Gallup, they track quite regularly what the top issue for voters is. And last month, they found that immigration was the top issue among all voters. And I think that's a very big warning sign for Joe Biden. Obviously, Republicans have done a number of things this past year, like you discussed earlier, defeating the bipartisan immigration deal that provided an opportunity for Biden to potentially reset that dynamic. But right now, polls continue to show that people favor Republicans over Democrats on this issue. And while there may be vulnerabilities for Republicans, a vulnerability only really matters if someone can take advantage of it. And Joe Biden has not yet been able to take advantage of the fact that people are concerned about the border. They're concerned about immigration. And it is not just at the border. It's in cities and states all across the country.
And Jim, President Biden was in Phoenix last night. He was courting Latino voters. And listen to this appeal.
Last time, you're the reason why, in large part, I beat Donald Trump. Yes. Let's beat him again. In 2016, he called Latinos criminal, drug dealers, and rapists when he came down that escalator. Now he says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. What the hell is he talking about?
Well, what the hell is he talking about when you think about it? This issue is so important, yet, Jim, the minority population has changed in America. And whereas it used to be dominated by Black Americans, now it's, there is so many Latino voters, and they are not as monolithically Democratic voting as, other people of color had been, other groups. So this is a real challenge as the population is evolving.
Oh, absolutely, Andrea. I think when you look at the numbers, Latinos are not some coherent number of people in one subsection. They are different voters in different states, different nationalities, where they came from. And so it's one of the challenges of a modern presidential campaign is figuring out how you both turn these voters out and persuade them. When I was running presidential campaigns, it was more of a turnout game. Now it's a persuasion game. And I agree with Brendan. Immigration is not just a Republican issue. It's now an issue that swing voters care about. It's an issue that Democrats care about. And so it really is an interesting question about how the Biden campaign will handle it. We just saw this in the New York special election, where the Democrat went straight at immigration, had his own position, took on the Republican, and won a close race. And I think that's a template for Democrats and what they need to do in the fall on this issue.
That Tom Suozzi's victory in that Long Island district was so telling, and it could foretell the way the House could go. I mean, those 5 New York State seats were so important. And, just to pick up on this theme, the president, I think, tipped his hand as to where he's going on this, because he was willing to make that compromise on the border. Now, there were other complications. He wanted to get the Ukraine and the Israel money through, but he was willing to get tough on it and risk angering the progressive wing of the party to take a harder line on immigration. Brendan, also wanted to ask you about Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking at this hour with the Republican senators. It's a little unusual. He was supposed to speak to them off campus at a retreat in West Virginia, I think it was, but now he's speaking to them in the Capitol and going very much against both Chuck Schumer and the White House on Rafah.
Yeah, a bit unusual, but there is certainly no foreign leader who is more familiar to members of Congress than Netanyahu. He's a regular visitor, and a lot of folks have personal relationships with him. I think Republicans are looking at this situation, obviously concerned about the war itself, but also as a political matter, they understand that there is a raging fire going on in the Democratic Party right now over this and Joe Biden's handling of it. The president facing incredible blowback from the far left. Obviously, Arab American voters have made this a single issue that they care about more than anything. Now, of course, you have Donald Trump feeling like he needs to wade into it and try to take advantage of Senator Schumer's comments recently. Whether Donald Trump getting himself involved is going to be helpful for him, I understand he's trying to divide Democrats. But this may also be a situation where Donald Trump getting himself involved has the effect of clarifying the choice for a lot of those progressives and Arab American voters who say, well, we may not like what President Biden is doing. Maybe it's worse with Donald Trump in the White House.
Well, it's also a case that it could be getting his own. There could be a lot of blowback about comments such as, telling Jews that if they vote Democratic, they don't like their own religion and are against Israel. That was an anti-Semitic trope, to say the least, and caused a lot of criticism of him. To be continued. We're going to have to leave it there. Brendan Buck, Jim Messina. Thanks to both.